Will there come a day I wish I had taken Tradespotting's course? I am an aggressive optimist. If you take the course, you'll know why I try all the time. I never give up. I never stop. Do I have difficulties? Yes. Are there obstacles in our way? Yes. Can we still see our goal? Yes. We know the direction we are going, and we are in the habit of moving towards our goal. Stuff always comes up. Some stuff is unbearingly, crushingly hard. The hard way is the right way. Persist and know that nothing can stop you but yourself. Make every step include some of the next, and resolve yourself to taking one step after the other until you have taken thousands of steps and travelled hundreds of miles. That dedication with the right trajectory will mean the goal you have in mind is in your future. You can have more than you've got. You will become more than you are. You will grow with your goals. You are the becoming I usher in. So if you haven't yet taken the course and you'd like to, now is a perfectly good time. www.technicalanalysis.school. I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. If you're looking for a saving, think of all the time you could save yourself by taking it now. If you're waiting for more time before taking it, you're misunderstanding time. It only travels in one direction and eventually it runs out. The difference between achieving your ultimate goal is often the timing of your decisions. Talking about timing decisions, welcome back to the multi-billionaire Tradespotting money bonanza, extravaganza, bamboozle, dabby-dabba-doos, little bit discombobulating looking at a long and a short like this, isn't it? Especially when price action looks to be on the way to this potential trade. If the 200 period moving average on the daily time frame proves to be resistance for FAMMI and it doesn't make it much beyond 1, then it likely does come back down and test some of these horizontal levels, zoom in and make them slightly more obvious. I'll put it on auto actually. Nope, doesn't zoom it in. Manual zoom. Zoop. See that? That amazing. 200 period moving average. This is the breakdown point from this. It's also the 886 here. Draw this in. Show everybody 886, right? That's where this probably finds a little bit of tough to get past. 1.1 something. And the high today 1.07, right? So very close, right? And I drew that very fast. It could actually be it could actually be closer, right? So price action here likely at resistance on FAMMI, or at least one level of resistance, and I wouldn't anticipate it making much beyond 1.822 on this move if it indeed exceeds this 200. If it doesn't, then this is potentially a very valid entry, because the stop beyond the prior low, this is an 886 retracement from the low to this speculative, not yet determined high. Could just continue on like I'm saying, but if it does come back, then it goes anywhere beyond 0.87. I would anticipate it coming back and probably testing 0.66, and if that doesn't hold, I'd expect to see it testing this 50 simple on the daily with the rejection in mind from the 200, and that could be at 0.55. I still would like it to be back here if I was going to take the trade though, down at 0.43. That's what I'd be looking for the entry, 0.44 call it, and I'd be putting my stop at around 0.36. If it fails to reach this target before reaching those levels, that would seem like a good trade. If it does reach those levels before coming back here, then this short opportunity might be to your liking. At least it will focus the mind on the idea of putting your stop in profit and protecting any capital that you would lose if it went back down again. And if you're looking at it from a short trade, you would want your risk to be limited beyond these important moves. You've obviously got another opportunity at 2.6 in this gap. And if price action does go straight to this target, then there's, you know, a high chance that it could test these levels too. You know, this trade doesn't need to be 20 to 1 at all. You could take it from that and look at it there. That's perfectly acceptable, 3 to 1. If you had the right strategy, which most would do that distance there. So, you know, that's what you could be easily looking at. Another test of the 200 period moving average if it holds the 50 simple, i.e. that test at 0.55, right? Now, you can work with these things. It's not financial advice, but there's an awful lot of different opportunities there. This is the one that is the least biscuit, most chocolate, or if you prefer, Oreo stuffing. And, you know, you like those. We focused on that a lot recently. Maybe that's your, you know, that's your lovely, that's just my cup of tea, that, right? Strange expression here in Britain. Everything that's good's like you're just your cup of tea. So try it out wherever you're from. Somebody gives you something and say, oh, it's just my cup of tea. And they'll think you're weird. Apart from British people, they'll think, wow, brilliant. So, and you know, people love to give people cups of tea. So you're looking at that, that's the target, and that's that, and this is right, and easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. That's FAMMI. Potential opportunity there. Obviously, other things, you know, 13% plus on UPST continues. Not bad. You've got 11% there on this SPCE. Still moving. Looks like you're potentially getting another opportunity here for further moves. So these are all really important things. Also, if we go to the Millionaire Maker series, shortlist, Beyond Meat, testing that 200 period moving average on the daily. Very careful, but good moves. BBBY, right? 390. Mine went through the high 360, but mine went through here this morning. Price action on BBBY. If we do quickly just flick on the... Can we? Can you give us this, por favor? Here, yes, testing in at around $4.14. And that 382 retracement that we spoke about. So congratulations, everybody. Fantastic there. Held support. Went, you know, very much straight to it, right? So fantastic news. Everybody's delighted, I'm sure. We also had really positive moves here. Velodyne, we only spoke about that yesterday. Really strong moves. Ape, people will be positive about that move. A little bit left on that potentially. Rocket, even it was up a big chunk, 9%. None of these things made a move as big as Carvana, which made it right to our top target at $20. Come back down looking for support in it around that 200 period moving average 13 and another target on it. So what a trade, by the way, folks. Very, very good. And eventually there'll be one that comes back again. At the time, I'll be keeping an eye. 350% from that initial entry. So, you know, you only need to double it, and we only needed 9, and that's 350%. So, as you can see, you know, time, it runs in one direction. And how many of these opportunities are you going to let pass you by before you take the course, right? Because I, very, very proud of my achievements here, have nearly made it to 2 years with every single day that the markets have been open. I've done a live show or a fresh one of these without ever taking a break, without ever taking a vacation or a holiday or skipping it when things are hard, and things have been hard. Really hard. Never skipped a single day. Coming up for 2 years. I may say coming up, but there's still a couple of months. But you know, it's coming up. So, take the course, right? Take it. And clear about that in as many ways as it can be. Right, so, you think about it yourself, yo. SPY, 414. Look at this, right? Here's a box. You'll have seen Tradespotting. It's box. And, yeah. I mean, it speaks for itself. Boxes, lines speak for themselves. There's an incredible trade on SPY. And, yeah. So, fantastic. Also, today, because it's just been so fantastic today, this move started, held your 50 simple through the 200 period moving average, and just because it's Tradespotting, this is Mr. Spotter. Is that you, Spotter? So there's different ways of looking at this guy. Different, yes, there's different ways of looking at this guy. So this is one. And this is all much of a muchness. I'll take this over here so that it helps people's brands, the brands, right? And in fact, actually, sorry, I can make this better. This is all wrong. Get out of my face. Right, so thank you very much. Right. So this is a butterfly. It's a bullish butterfly, and you could anticipate at this, like you would use your. Oops, I didn't mean that guy. Get out of my face. Though that's quite nice, isn't it? So what we're looking at here is a bullish butterfly, and this is the A. Right, I'm doing it over here because it's too messy over there. But you do it from the A to the X, or you know, the C to the D, and then you're looking at the targets, which would be after this makes its way beyond the harmonic resistance. So this is your PRZ, and this is your terminal candle, and that was your entry signal. This is price action reaching its first harmonic resistance. This is support and resistance. This is the prior high from the formation. This is the top of the harmonic, and the target afterwards is pretty clear, right? It's the high from the formation here. So this is what you're looking for. And when you're looking at a butterfly, typically it would find itself making a little bit of a retracement at these levels. So you found that the first one came back, support went on up to resistance. You found a little bit of that came back, and now you're touching support there, right? So the next idea would be, did something like this, at which stage the story becomes quite clear to everybody, especially when Tradespotting has explained it on the internet. And all I have to do is mention any 3 letters in a row nowadays, and they jump double-digit percentage points. So factor that into your calculations. And then you're looking at this thing, it's up there around the C. It can come back, right? Because it typically would. But only a matter of time. Oh, it's gone left again. The magic never stops. So that's what you'll be looking at, right? And congratulations if you're already in it and that happens. And if not, commiserations, right? Snow. It's the open, straight up, brilliant gap. Careful. Amazon, we spoke about this. Earnings, we're quite clear about it. It's up at 111. We spoke about it down here. 4 hour. Do we have our pictures of our trade here? Why is it not here? Anywho, we spoke about this. We said earnings were likely positive, and we talked about this potential inverted head and shoulders. 50 simple here. Fantastic. Fandabidozi. Boom. Moving to the top side so far. Little bit of significance, quite obvious here with the 200 period moving average, and then the resistance in here, prior level 105. Little gap open to the top side, another $5 or $6. Can't argue with that, right? Ahead of earnings, saying how everything would go. Great, Sputter. Thank you, Sputter. We also got, look, I did this yesterday and told everyone yesterday, so that's very good news for everyone who was watching yesterday. And continuation there again, Volkswagen. Or VWAGY, as it may be to you. Like, there's VWAGY. Also, very obvious things to look out for there. Right, and Tesla, need I remind you, look how good Trustspot has there. It's everywhere, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's on everything. Look at that. It's everywhere, folks. It never stops. It never ends. It keeps happening, but then it does at some point, somewhere. Main chicken vroom. You betcha. VROOM. Look at that. Oh, look. Tradespotting's got a little circle. Oh, look. It's right in his little circle. So what's going to, have to be careful is that Tradespotting will be right all the time. And so, so far, ding dong, right? Then we got here, bing bong. And then we got, look at that option. I suppose we've got a choice. We could go here, we could go there, right? But after this point, you don't really mind, because it's like choosing which expensive SF kitchen are you going to buy, right? It's a really expensive, amazing one, right? That's the answer. So looking at that, that's quite. So what are we actually doing here in terms of work? What a weekly time frame. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Are we on for this guy now? Well, it might just be the start of something big, guys. It might be. What are we looking at here then? apart from loads of amazing drawings. It's exciting, isn't it? Automification? Aye. I think we could make more use of the space auto button. Do we need all of these? What's this one, for example? The straight line indicator. I think we'll ditch you. Hey. Okay, that should be interesting on lower time frames. Potential cross center line here. Made it out of the bearish controls on the RSI. Broke this downward sloping diagonal and made it through two significant horizontals. A little bit of body action, body to body. And at that 50% retracement so far and 50 simple period moving average on the weekly. Okay, with no 200 in sight, that is extra important. So golden pocket retracement from this breakdown point, which is where you'd be there looking for your next target. So it would, if it does keep going to the top side without coming back at all, you'll be looking at it in around 228. To get there, you just have to break above 164. 169, shout out Luke Spears. Here, this is why I remember saying this earlier. I remember saying that before. Deja vu, right? So you got a bit of that. Ooh, implants. What happened? Was it when you were asleep? What happened to you? What did he take you? Right, so back to the chart. VRM, downward sloping weekly, 5-day. I mean, it's another flash. 3-day. Thank goodness there's not another one. But to have angina. Look, there's the two. That was angina. Right, YouTube, that was a perfectly acceptable. There's the 200 period moving average in at around a 2618 extension if everything continues in this fashion, which is a little bit much to ask for. 2-day test of that 50 simple now looks very possible, which is where you find another circle, right? I mean, we could even move him over. Look, boom. And so it was not much of a muchness. It's just left. It still would have happened anyway. Or would it, right? This is the thing. Now that I've moved it, who's to say, right? What came first? Tradespotting or the chicken? Right? Because if the chicken was about and there was, you know, what happened? And that's strange. Here, Tradespotting, that's illegal some places. That, right? So you're looking at this as a come back to that, test that daily time, 1.15. That's a big percentage. Big percentage. Right, so you'll be looking at this thing, testing that. It's very risky until then. You could obviously use that if it breaks back above 146 then, targeting 169, 174, those sort of areas, right? That's a potential trade, but it's quite close. So, and if it does evolve into something fantastic, all well and good. But you'd have to be careful there. 2-day time frame, seeing that 50 simple. And then you see your 4 hour, it says you've got a bit to go. Look, it says you've got a bit to go there. Look at that. And there's a Tradespotting line and everything. So I'm not going to argue against that. There is a gap back below then. That's testing the prior high and the 382 at 1.36. You've already found that area on price action today at 1.31 on the low. Holding that 382 now. So if you do hold this, you can potentially test a 50%. And that comes in just about on that flash. So yeah, targeting topside 162. Am I getting any more closer to the truth as we go through the time frames? I think we are. We're like trying to hold 1.36. That's where we're at the minute. And if we don't hold that, it could be coming back down, closing this gap. So, you know, you've got an immediate area to enter and manage your risk from. Very, very tight. And it moves up. You get that quick move to 1.62. If that doesn't happen, fill the gap. If that gap doesn't present price action with a proper bounce, you'll be breaking the 382. Could easily then have lost the prior highs. You could easily come back and test the 236, which right now on the 4 hour time frame is where you find the 200 period moving average at 1.14, which remember 2-day time frame 1.15, 50 simple rock outcrop flash. So lowest possible risk is either those trades we talked about, which are interesting, or this one, which is like handily defined by Tradespotting's lines and little circles, shut up throat, and you'd be looking at price action going to that on first instance, and then possibly you'd be looking for this to evolve into that big ass redonkulous trade up to 41.45, right? Let's see. This works out quite well. That would be your target. That gives you a ratio, risk reward ratio 8 to 1. That's not right? Not terrible at all. First target on that thing up 35%. It's like get out of town sort of. You think you can work here with coming to me with targets like that? Tradespot, you're on a short leash, and then you're like looking at that. Well, sorry, I'm just going to do this for myself. Then one spot 74. That's ridiculous. Look, that's 63%, and then that's 120%, and then you're just like, well, you gain. Like you see, what kitchen now? You're like, bathroom. I'll get one made out of pearls and like frickin' meteorites or something. Like what's teak things? They're expensive. That's what you'll be thinking. So look, that right, you get made out of cars or something. They're also expensive. So like, yeah, that'd be brilliant. 120%. And if it does evolve, ooh, the 1618 up there at 578, that'd be a 437%. And let's say you manage to work from these opportunities. The trade that does eventually take this thing back to 41. That's a 3,791% trade with a risk reward ratio of 250 to 1. And that doesn't tell you the probability of it working out, but that lower term trade, that low target is with the same risk, it's quite a high chance of that working out. So and it could turn into that, right? So that's how you trade for amazing targets with amazing trades. You just take tiny bits of profit, move your stop into profit, and then follow that trade, and it turns into amazing things. Want to spot them, want to take them more regular, want to manage that trade and get the most out of it, because there'll be multiple oscillations within it that'll nearly definitely scare most people away from that target, right? There'll be few and far between people would be able to hold that, no matter how they get into it, all the way to there, right? There's very, very few traders, right? Even if it went there in mostly a straight line. So take the course. It's what you got to do. But that's a really good one. Thanks very much for that that suggestion. Awesome. Thanks, Praise. Was that you, Praise? I think it was. Was that you, Praise? Yo, Tennessee. Yo, Wes. How's it going? Right, so that's that option. Dub. What else are we looking at over here? GREE, another bit of a move. Can't argue with that. Like potentially putting in a little bit of a flag. If it does break up, the next target would be 2.3. Downward sloping resistance. Bump and run. That's what you're looking at, right? 2.3 on GREE. Currently not 0.9, right? We've already made stupid amounts. So like if you I did. Right, look, you were here, and if you weren't, where were you? Was it just something else? Was it better? Was it? So, we were looking at this guy, loads of money, and so now if it does break above 1.123, the next target is, shut up, get out of town, 7. No, we were talking about 2, Tradespotting. We were talking about 2.2, yeah, calm down, spotter. Right, so, exactly the same situation. It can also, there's a cross there, see that? And price action testing it, that's great. And see that prior low in the 382 and see the 50% in the prior target, right? So, there's loads of different ways of managing this trade. You can do it yourself, right? Like there, that's, you'll have seen do things like this. And that's a 872% to 1. Trade, right? So you see Bitcoin go up, that'll happen, right? That is a bit ridiculous. What is it in terms of it's not ridiculous though. 866%, right? So it only has to be 100%, and I only need 9 of them, right? And we're on Tradespotting multi-millionaire, billionaire, extravaganza, bamboozling craziness, episode 21. So, like I say, right? Time and that direction it runs and whatnot. So that's very interesting. Nasdaq got another 2% on that. Oops, get back in your. Literally get back box. Look at the lines. Look at this. Look at the lines, everybody. And then, there's just like loads and loads of this. So it could go on all evening, but I won't. What's up? What did I miss? Did I see anything on the notifications of things you maybe should be looking at, Spotter? Where is that list? This guy, Anthony Ellis, renewed the membership. That was previously. Can't like to see SFT. Yes, so problem is the better. Right, so it's one of these dudes, right? So One of these dudes, right? So it wouldn't be all that different from Carvana, right? Am I right thinking this about shift? Am I right thinking about shift like that? Am I right? Right, so anyway, it's been following like most risk-on assets, this decline, which typically fails and repeats, fails and repeats. And a lot of assets have been doing this. It's just a bit unfortunate for this guy. So, yes, I mean, you would be hard-pressed to make the argument that that has changed, right? Wouldn't you? At the minute. 5-day time frame? Well, look at that. Little bit of that. Sputter, what do you say now, Sputter? I say, well, yeah, potentially. Still, that would be relevant, wouldn't it? You know, we have come down now to the 5-day, but I still say it's relevant. And then, boing, boing, boing. And then you just can't deny, and then it has to be said, and then also will clearly be true. So these are the support and resistance zones. And then we've got this dude, obviously, you know, obviously 236. We'll add this one in. You've already found close touch there. 50 simple period moving average on 2-day as well. Right, so we have these all laid out lovely jubbly for us. We can just adjust this because it's like right anyway, isn't it? Look, that's top side of the golden pocket. Just a little bit. And you go on that guy. Right, so I mean, that's like not much of a compromise really for me. I'm quite happy to make that exchange for the degree of accuracy. So, you know, 50 simple, you've held it. 200 period moving average now on the 4-hour is at around 0.38. Currently trading at 0.27, so that's a big move if it goes there. Daily time frame, 50 simple at 0.22. It's even better if it drops to 0.22 first, of course. Of course, my horse, my kingdom for a horse. 2-hour time frame. 50 simple, go through that 200, good. 1-hour time frame, done it already. The flash is at 0.49. That's a downward sloping resistance. If you break through this prior high at 0.31, then you're on your way at 0.49. That's a trade that I like. I like that. Good spot, Colin, sir. Good spot. These millionaire maker, million, multi-million, billion, million for a billion millionaires. You know, you think about it, like how much money has Tradespotting generated? Like for people who, the good people who follow him, how many dollars has he generated for the good folks back home? Probably like thousands and thousands for thousands of people, and that ends up to millions and millions. If I make 100 millionaires, that'll be millions and hundreds of millions. Think about it, you know. All of it paying for good things, for good people, for schools, college, healthcare, like education, insurance, helping people. Very little of it's wasted. Right, so what about this thing? Boom, boom, boom. There's your 236. So you could just have it there, right? I mean, like, it'd be even better if you got it there, wouldn't it? It'd be even better. And then, I mean, come on, Spot, you have to have some sort of a distance on this stoppy stop below the prior high for your entry at the 236. No, and then like if we did this on like the weekly or something, so we'll just update this dude. You know, you could just update that day, easily get a wee test in around there, couldn't you? I can see that myself, by the way. I can see that, yo. Right, so if it does come anywhere around 0.25, great. If it goes beyond 0.24, well, you see, they could easily test this very simple in that downward sloping resistance. So maybe you want that, and then you're talking about the prior low, in which case you're like, well, if it doesn't hold 236, you know, the truth is you would rather have it back down here, like 50% retracement and whatnot. If it exceeds that, you know, you don't really want it, maybe, right? Maybe. Definitely don't want it if it's below the 200 period simple. And so, you know, make the decision when it's there, when it's already open. Costs you what? Not very much, does it? Anyway, no, you should obviously monitor price action at the time, make the decisions when it's at the level you're interested in. But this is a suggestion, and you know, you can work with any of these levels within it, and it's pretty obvious that from what we were doing on the TA and then coming down here and finding the flash there on the 1 hour time frame. That's pretty darn good. I think that's pretty spectacular. Good shout, Colin. 30-minute time frame. Oh my goodness, get out of here. Look at this, right? So if it's already on that move, you know, you're going to be confirmation when it goes beyond there that you probably are going to hit that top side of that guy. And then if it does keep going, you've got this target on long on the way at this 30-minute time frame. You come back on that trade. That's one option, right? So you've got another way of looking at this too. If it doesn't hold that, right? But even better, right? Even better. Get in there. Just go there, actually, right? So, you know, if it does come back and you want that, that'd be fan-dabba-dozy. It could easily be a bull flag, not drop much further at all, and be looking at a 236, and your pull starting here. At which point, you know, there's the 382. Really, would you go beyond the 382 in a little bull flag like this guy? So you could be looking at it and saying, you know, right, like super tight stop loss. Looking at something like that.
From Dashi C60.46.
Oh, for goodness sake, you're ridiculous. Ridiculous.
We'll catch up properly later.
This is talking about it already, right? I'm not doing this on the x-axis where it may or may not be relevant.
As always, for just everything.
Like nearly invisible, right? Because really next to your entry, because like, why is it going to go beyond the 382 if this is true? It's just probably is it. So get on the 382, you idiot. So like that there sort of thing, you know, and same target. Risk reward, that's absurd, right? And that, like, brilliant. So, is it brilliant? This is brilliant. All of that, and if it doesn't make these targets and it does break below these support levels, right, you've got this guy, which is brilliant. Also looks like that's a potential, you know, right, okay, well, I mean, for a while it looked like it might turn out to be some sort of continuation formation. We're going to drop back down again, but I'm not quite seeing the evolution of that. So if it does break to these levels, cool. If it does break below 1.472, not 0.1472, you see, you really don't want it dropping below there. That is matching up with the 86 retracement, and this does then potentially form a harmonic that takes you back down to those sort of levels. So, you know, if these levels break, which is giving you a really tight level stop loss, and if you want to take that one, you've already done this one, you probably look for that in around this level, this low, so you get a tighter stop there, and then, you know, zoom in and whatnot. This is at 0.19 something, right? So you zoom in and see these levels, and if you can't, just let me know, or ask a friend with the big television if you can come watch Tradespotting at their house, right? So you're looking at this thing, and if it does break down, and you clearly got this other opportunity, it's at an 886, right? It's fantastic. Here, get out of my face, extra fib. You're supposed to be a long position, right? So it's going to do the stupid thing with the stop again. Yeah, typical. So if that doesn't work, you know, similar to the analogy, so the walkthrough that we might have managed to capture some risk with on FAMMI, that chat earlier, that framework for taking the trade, would be a similar situation here. No, 886 potential entry. It's also rocket outcrop flash, so high likelihood. We love that word. High likelihood that price action comes down and tests 0.1422, and you don't want it probably if it goes beyond this prior low at 0.130. If it goes beyond there, 0.1276. And you know, that sort of thing. Also bear in mind this thing's trading below $1 and it is listed on NASDAQ, so you know there's like existential concern clearly, and so these levels are also taking that kind of a risk, though you don't need to put that much capital on when you're talking about trades that are potentially hundreds of percent to the top side. So if it doesn't manage to fill those, maybe you're looking at it returning to 1.1 or those areas thereabout after a test of 0.14, which would be so much money. So, you know, you'd be looking at that potential opportunity, which, thank you very much, Colin. Hard to argue with that. Hey, Dashi. Yo, blooming hell, $60. What a couple of days it's been. We'll catch up properly later. Just dropping by, a quick hi to see. Hi to you all, and massive thanks, Jamie, as always, for just everything. Until next time. You can drop by anytime you like. Boom. Thanks so much, Dashi. It's great to see you. Thanks. Amazing. Root, look at that. Here. So yeah, I mean, look at that's brilliant, isn't it? That's just lovely, jubbly. That is, eh? Right. So I mean, it's like, what about Dashi, eh? Dashi rescuing the day with that flicking hell. I mean, that was amazing. Jackie, right, Root's pretty darn good. Looks brilliant. Everything's doing pretty good. I'm happy with that. You happy, right? I hope so. I hope everybody is. I'm blooming over the moon now, yeah. Wow, so what percentage are we talking there? It was 17%. Well, I mean, if Carvana does go up again, which is, something you hedge against the potentiality of that not happening. I mean, I could basically move to America at this rate, right? Likelihood, potentiality. I make millions and millions of millionaires and nobody makes millionaires like me. I could run for governor. Where is it? Where do you want me, governor? Where do you want me? Where do you want me? Right? So we can do it like that, right? We'll do it like that. Just, if, I was aiming for the board of one of these companies. Like, let's just out with it, Tradespot. Yeah, I thought you guys would probably elect me to the board of one of these top companies in the S&P 500. I thought that'd probably happen, right? I mean, if you don't, I'll just make one, but it'd be rather. And then, if that's not going to work, I'll just be like governor of California or something. I mean, that place is a bright state. You need help, and like that guy, Meet Kevin, he's like, apparently, if you go from influencer to doing that kind of thing, like apparently that's like this, he showed me the way, right? Thanks, Kev. Remember he said that read my lips thing. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Back on the body to body action. Tradespot, OTLY is back over the 236. Yes, true, it's not doing so bad considering here's like sorry, I do this when people ask me about Beyond Meat, I go OTLY, and people ask me about OTLY, I go Beyond Meat. But isn't it really good? And there's a lesson in that. And where's that going if it keeps going up? Well, it's going up to 34, and it's currently at 19, right? So that's not bad at all. That was the entry. You've got a little bit of a gap, 50 simple, 200 period moving average. Look, so you got an entry because, like, where's one of those things that I said, and there's a stop. That's the other thing I said, right? And then prior to both of those things, I said this other thing, which is a target, right? So there's a trade, and imagine that, right? Imagine that, right? Imagine that. Really good at trading, charismatic, friendly, huge army of people trying to make real difference, change the world. Look at that, imagine all that. Whoa, boom, 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 boom. Thousands of friends, all worth thousands of dollars, all online, all the time, trying to help you. It's amazing, right? That's the Rocket Corrupt Discord for you. Get on the Discord, take the course. You know what I mean? Anywho, so look at this thing. That's going to happen too, right? So you were asking about OTLY though. Yeah, that's pretty good there. This is all just like the last few weeks. No. So, I mean, this not bad. Right, what are you looking at in OTLY then? Break, hold 236. Could easily come back there. I've talked about this, 222, and it did. And then it moved up, and then it's back above 236. Oh my goodness gracious me, right? So, I mean, similar situation. Easily move up to $8 or $9, right? Could easily. Next place to look to, 366. Wix 229. 231 at level, at which point you're probably looking at support in the daily time frame. 200 period moving edge will be broken, 50 simple approaching that, potential crosses, 236 for support, 279, hold 279 if it breaks to the top side and then holds 279, you'd be looking at moves to 373, $7, probably 8, maybe 9. That's what I'm thinking. 200 period moving average up around those levels there. Weekly. Everybody loves the weekly. Brutal. So that's what we're thinking, yo. Tradespot, can we look at CUEN? Yep, there you go. There's some looking at it. There's a little bit of a flash. So, I mean, if you're excited about this, be very, very careful. Divergence, I imagine there's a swing failure in a not too high time frame. There it is there. Right, so you come back down a bit to 236. I'd get a little bit worried about this if it goes beyond a 382 of what could be the smaller. Your fibs should go from left to right and follow the trend. And because I've become so, like when I started doing this stuff, I would like the whole technical analysis world was a little bit different. And then I started doing this stuff, and an awful lot of the things that only I do or would ever do started making it into the popular culture and the narrative, and was like, oh yeah, no, people just do this stuff. And it's like, no, people didn't just do this stuff. Right? They didn't. I know, because I did it. And I knew no one else was doing it until I told them. And they all said, wow, thanks very much. And then he ran off and they did it themselves. Did you know? Like it was all like, you know, it's like, this is the thing, right? You give a man a fish, he'll eat it. You teach a man a fish. Next day you go down to the harbour, he set up a shop teaching people to fish, and he's charging them like loads more than you were. And, you know, everybody's shopping there, and you're like, what the flying fuck? Anyway, I suppose that's the benefit of like local knowledge and, you know, a relationship with your customers and all, eh? You know, they see you and they say hello to you on the street every day, and they're probably, so there's your 236 from the ultimate guy at the low. And then you'd be looking at this saying, where's the bull flag on this guy then starting? Well, there's a departure point there. That's quite interesting. These retracements are only to support. Lots of different ways of looking at it, I suppose. Loads of them. I mean, you've either got that, which is hard to argue that that trend's been broken at all, or the next most reliable one would be this guy. Why do you always see where that's come from anyway? Also, you've got the same situation when you're looking at these. Like, you've gone through the 236, there's a 382, held to 50% retracement. And if it does break this 236, and that is ultimately the bull flag here, you wouldn't want to play on the 382, you want it like long for sure. And if it's falling back down again, then that would be dodgy, right? Breaking here, you'd be back below this, right? This is very important. You probably take that to the 50% level. And you also got a big gap, so you'd easily manage your support and resistance. So that's what you'd be looking at. 1 hour time frame. It's hard to argue that that's broken above its previous high. That's very good. So it's broken out of this range on the horizontal, and it's put in what could be considered a higher high. It hasn't yet put in a higher low. So as you saw with the circles on the other dude, you know, it could easily come back and test these levels and it still be then in the process of creating a bullish trend. So that being the case, it's very, very risky, isn't it, that it could come back if you're talking about this as the entirety of the move. If it's not, you've got your horizontals in advance and early warning signs. If it bounces there, then you're looking about, you know, especially if it doesn't try higher, you're looking at come back and testing this dude, which would then be, you know, just circle over here, right? You see how that all works? And then you still don't really have like the 3 fibs I'd like to draw out a proper example of what might come next, but we'll see what happens if this retracement is anywhere near those levels, not 0.53. So 4 hour time frame, 50 simple's gone through 200. Neither of them been tested in a while. You could see that happening. Daily time frame, you got a flash back up at 2.46. Here, that's a whole dollar on top of where you are at the minute, and it's a circle. Well, if it doesn't make it there on this move, then it'll be making it on the next one. And the first place to enter it on a tiny time frames, 1.32, and you could have your stop beyond 1.2, 1.18. Quite a big percentage chunk, mind you, with a target around 220. 234, whatever that was, and then if it does come back before that, test the 200 period moving average or this 50 simple, then you've got a better risk reward ratio. If you know, you get that, even better. But it hasn't filled the flash beforehand, and it's still going on the way to making a higher low with a potential then higher high and creating that uptrend, or at least asking the question of traders, will we see this happening? So please stretch and stop being like that. Remember that Stretch Armstrong toy? It was like sold out. I want one out. It was a crappy thing. Right, so do it with a towel. So, anywho, man, I don't know that. Maybe people like it, right? Don't sue me. So, that'd be better if it came there. You get risk reward with 13-1. You're looking at a 360% trade. It's a lot to ask for. It is. You'd have to be measuring it at the time. But test is the 200 period moving average, making that trade work, getting your stop and profit and seeing what evolved into. In advance of that, you've got the other trade that we spoke about. Holds the 236 there. Going back and tests it. Hey, now spotter, is this worth the doing this silly thing? Oh. Hey, I'm good at making that noise now. I've been working on it. Hey, so there's the other one we talked about. Pretty good, eh? Pretty good. Not financial advice. None of this is financial advice. Just give me an hallucination. It's me. Hey, thanks for all you do, Jimmy. World tested me today, and I came out the other side to find you streaming, my friend. You bring calm and happiness. Minnie. Hey, well, that's great, Maybe that's the reason why I started streaming when I did, because it was the right time. Great to see you. Good to be on and help at all. That's great to hear. Sorry to hear it was a hard day. But we all get hard days. You know what it's like. It always happens. You're going to have them. There'll be hundreds and hundreds of them. Be plenty more of them. You did well. Get through the day. Good on you. Spy. Back to spy. Spy, eh? Everything's any. Every chart is any for some reason. That's any. That's any. That's any. Like, you see those things recently of those terrible, ridiculous streamers getting caught sharing their tabs and their, like, some of the nonsense they're up to. Like, my God, eh? Like, no, what? Like, oh. Nah. Whereas if any of my tabs get shown up, they're all any, GREE, any. What are these Bitcoin miners things? Oh, the shame. Anyway, freaking. So, embarrassing. Right, so what we're looking at again, they're so embarrassing. I mean, can you imagine the shame, eh? I can't understand. It's just so bad, right? So, and anyway, so SPY, yeah, what are we looking at? Well, we'll start on the daily, won't we? This golden pocket retracement is what we're talking about. You broke your horizontal that was interesting here at 408, and we went up and tested the high of today, 418, right? Sputter, your friends. This gap we spoke about here. Touch off that. Haven't really retraced very far away at 4.14 so far. Obviously, the prior support 408. 412 is also an interesting level. Low today, 412.86. Cool, right. So if this thing pushes back above 419, it's going to then likely, it will be on the way closing this topside golden pocket and 424. Anything above 424, you've got this high at 428. I think at 428, you would have to say that was very, 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 very strong move. And asking for much more than that would likely be quite greedy if you'd entered anywhere around here. Now, there's this cross happening on the daily time frame. That's a golden cross. Price action was there or thereabouts when it happened. It's since exceeded the high that came in before it, but not yet tested that as support. So you could easily come in and test this level of support in around 404. Right. Easy peasy. And asking it to break above the into and back above the golden poppet, and then the previous high, having gone through one already, without having found, asking it to go through another, without having put in any sort of a high or low to confirm, uptrends to come with highs, lows, highs, higher lows, right? That's just four things there. See that? Four things. It's like the body close, body close. You understand what we're saying here, right? So, and you know why that's helpful? Because you want confirmations. You don't just want to say, when it goes past A, buy it. That's awful, right? That's awful, because what when it comes back beyond A, And like, what do you mean go past A? I mean, it could go past A and you could see it 2 weeks later, it's past A. I mean, what does that mean? I'm not saying use the x-axis. What does it mean, right? You have to have an actual understanding. What are the constituent parts of this signal? What does it say when it's like maybe? And then what's a likely, slightly more likelihood? And then you're like, well, what's it when it's saying it's definitely right on now and it's one of the better versions of this thing? And then what do you do when you're like, well, oh my God, what's it? It's confirmation that you're right. So you want these things, right? It's good when you've got four parts to something. It's better. So that's what people choose. People are like, oh, it's like, who are you? Who's this person saying that? I'm trying to help like lots of people, some people who are brand new to this, and try to make it accessible knowledge. So, maybe they want it to sound snobby or something. Is that what they're looking for? If you want it to sound snobby, I could do a snobby version and charge way more. I could. And it would be a freaking stormer, by the way. So, anywho, what am I talking about? I'm distracted, am I? That's what it is. So, mini. Hey, yo, how's it going? So, 420. Aye. That'd be good. It looks weird, I suppose. It owns all the numbers. You only allowed to retire one shirt and Sorry, Luke, 69. So you're looking at this and it's 420. Get back above there. 423. Yeah, we did that. I said this. I said that already. Yeah, well, the point basically, so essentially, pardon me, is that it's filled the gap. If it now holds the bottom side of that, it didn't. You're probably looking for it to test prior support. Let's find it on these lower time frames. 4 hour. I mean, we already found it. It's that area we went through at 408, and if that doesn't hold 404, which is a 50% retracement, which would be very typical going from one fib to the other level, wouldn't it? Especially if that doesn't really break structure at all. I mean, we're not going to get any other information that adds much more to that. 50 simple pulling in towards that 408 level on the 1 hour time frame likely is there tomorrow means even more confirmation of what we were saying. If all of that breaks down, 392, that was the prior level of support. As you can see here, where was it? I mean, bigger time frames, you can see it loads of times. You and the wicks and whatnot. Right, see there. So that would be the next level it would go to if it does break down. So those are the levels. In descending order: 428, 424, 420, 418, 412 below us. 408, 404, 400, 398, 392. 392 would be a significant one there. So after 400, which would be interesting but less important than 404 at this stage. Okay, so that's what I think on the 4 hour. Down at the 1 hour, what we're seeing, it's in the bullish control zone, not arguing with it. That's very, very bullish and dangerous to short anything that's moving like this, broken its previous high. There's nothing to say it's going to necessarily stop there. It's just like very likely there'll be a lot of orders at that level, and a lot of this is driven by people who would take profit there. So, and then we can see here you're already, pushing to the places where it would nearly always come back from immediately and make a big move. On that early time frame here at the top side of the bullish control zone. MACD, that's got a long way to fall if it does come down, but that means, momentum will take a while to actually turn negative, and price action could easily find a very violent bounce back up again. And then volatility on that time frame, not interested. What about 30 minutes? Again, anything extra special? Extra. That's dodgy if it doesn't break that prior high and goes up now. So you want to see it find, maybe like take a wee while, be no problem, take a wee while, and then break back above 418, then yeah, just go 428, don't even care about 424, not really. Who's going to? No one, like, they're not the way SPY doesn't work that anymore. Right, so that's what we're thinking. If you've got any other questions, definitely got other, happy to chip in with more specifics. I can handle nuts and whip and never give up on cats. Yeah, smoking cats is the best. If I had to choose, I would choose 420 over 69. Would you? I suppose it's one of those activities, while it being, involving multiple people and whatnot, it's not necessarily the sort of thing you can both, I suppose there probably is some sort of snorkeling device that makes the whole thing possible. Probably. No. Don't have to be a big market for it though. I can handle not. Yeah, great. Why? Why not? Is that so? That's what we're thinking. So what a great stream it's been, right? What a great stream it's been, eh? You are all going to be so successful at this if you stick with me, and I'll do everything to keep you here and keep you on the right track for as long as I can, and I'll keep that up as long as I can again, right? So look after each other. Remember to be your own best friend. And I'll see you tomorrow for sploshing. Sploshing, everybody. Sploshing. Okay, it's been a great week. Everybody's doing well. I know everybody's doing well. It's great to see it. Remember to help each other on the Discord. There will be people out there who aren't doing as well, or, would really benefit from your help and advice and just like someone to talk to, perhaps, understanding, whatever. Not everybody's doing amazing all the time. So, keep your eye peeled for people you can help. They're there everywhere all the time. Thanks. See you next one. That's tomorrow.